Alrighty, so some costume designing basics. This is my gentleman, and just like you guys already know, this is our traceable, and you would never actually draw on a traceable because then we would see his undergarments, and we don't want to see any of that. But just for the ease of this, I am going to draw on the traceable. So I'm going to start at his collar, and I want this gentleman to be wearing a collared shirt. So I'm going to think of a collar kind of like some triangles and some rectangles. So I'm going to use his undershirt to help me. And I'm going to draw, I'm going to draw a arrow almost right at his neck to make the beginnings of a collar. Okay? Pencil just broke. Now I'm going to extend and make kind of a rectangular shape extending up to his neck. So I'm going to go from the top of the arrow and make a nice organic line up around the back of his neck. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Nice organic line right up around the side of his neck. Almost looks like a necklace right now with a little dangle bit on it, but it's not. It's the beginnings of a collar. Then I'm going to go to the bottom corner of my arrow, and I'm going to do another nice organic line connecting this bottom corner to the top. Okay. And so now we have some curved triangles. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. This bottom corner organic line all the way to the top curve. And magically, he has a collared shirt on. Oh my gosh. And then I'm going to give him a button so it's nice and buttoned up. Now, I'm going to draw the rest of his shirt. Now, of course, on this traceable, we can see his undershirt, but please just ignore that. I'm going to go and mark a little dot on the outside of his upper shoulder. And remember, we're always drawing on people's bodies, not inside people's bodies. So I want to stay on the outside of the black line. And I'm going to connect another organic line, a line from his collar on the outside of his black undershirt to that dot on the top of his shoulder. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Nice casual line following the curve of his shoulder. All right. Now on this arm, I'm going to have his sleeve like pushed up. Okay. So I'm going to have it pushed up till right below his elbow. So here's his elbow. His arms are kind of a weird shape. But I'm going to draw a nice organically shaped like rectangle right below his elbow, and I'm going to connect it. And you see how my connector lines are on the outside of his arm? I have a nice rectangle. So now I'm going to connect his shoulder to his sleeve. Another organic line following the curve of his arm. And at some points his shirt is touching his arm, and at some points it's coming off a little billowy. It is pushed up, so there would be more fabric than normal. And I see that his undershirt on this guy is really tight, right? So I'm gonna say his shirt's a little bit baggier. So I'm gonna draw a little line like a centimeter below his armpit, because I don't think his shirt would go all the way up into his armpit. And I'm gonna connect this inside line to the sleeve. And I'm gonna be even more organic with this. So as you can see, I'll put this up a little closer. His sleeve is touching his arms in some place and not in others. All right. I'm gonna draw a button on his cuff, and you can make that thicker if you want to, just depends on the look you're going for. And again, you can always resort to Google for actual clothing design help. Okay. And then on this sleeve, I'm gonna have his cuff go all the way down to the beginning of the day over here. So I'm gonna, on my wrist, if I was wearing a nice shirt, it would probably hit like at my wrist bone. So I'm gonna identify where his wrist bone is. I'm gonna draw a line there, nice organic curved line. Another one parallel to that, and then I'm gonna connect those lines and draw a button, because shirts have buttons. And then I'm gonna do the same thing I did. I'm gonna connect the shoulder line to the cuff. And I've got lots of arm, So his arm does this weird like indent thing right there on this traceable. So I'm gonna ignore that, and his arm is gonna be, or his shirt's gonna come off his arm a little bit and touch it more on his forearm. And then I'm gonna use the elbow gather, and I'm gonna draw a little bit of a gather because that's how normal shirts are. And same thing on this side, I'm not gonna go all the way up to his armpit because that looks kind of uncomfortable to me. So we can see that pretty okay. Now I want to decide, this gentleman looks like he's wearing his pants a little bit higher than maybe our gentlemen nowadays are. They're more tailored trousers. So I'm gonna follow the line of his undergarments for his pants line. So maybe this gentleman is from like the 1920s where their silhouette was a little bit different than ours today. And I'm actually gonna use the lines that I am given as the waistband of his pants. And I'm gonna on my traceable, make the waistband of his pants. Now pants have a belt area. So again, I'm gonna draw another organically drawn rectangle and follow that first line. And notice how I'm doing the not scribble, scribble, scribble lines, because those scribble, scribble, scribble lines are gonna get us in trouble. All right, then I'm gonna draw a button here, a couple belt loops. Alrighty. Now, since I have his waistband defined, I'm gonna go a little bit outside his body because pants sit on our body, not in our body. Now that I have a place for his tucked in shirt to go, I'm gonna tuck this gentleman's shirt into his trousers. So I'm gonna again go outside to make a little bit of a curved line on the outside of his waist and connect that to that armpit that we've created before. Now you can decide how tight you want his shirt. I think we're going for a more of a loose fit. So his shirt is gonna be coming away from his body. Okie dokie. Now I'm gonna draw my buttons on his shirt, and then I'm gonna add some movement lines. So again, if you need guidance on how many buttons are on a shirt, go look in your closet. I just drew some very tiny buttons. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna draw two really light lines on the outside of my buttons to make it look like a seam. And I'll show you up close. All right, and if you want his shirt to have a pocket, all a pocket is a rectangle or a square. I'm gonna draw that light because I might want to edit the positioning of it later or edit the entire idea of it, but I can draw him a pocket. And you guys should always be using a regular pencil when you're starting, but I'm using a colored pencil so you can see it better. Now I'm gonna add some movement lines to his shirt, especially in the waistline where it's tucked in. Draw some light movement lines, especially on this side where his arm is bunched up. And you can always do this on yourself, like go put a shirt on and pull it up and see what happens to the fabric when you pull it up. It's not gonna remain perfect. Got some texture. All right, and that's my gentleman's shirt. Okay, now we're gonna draw his trousers. Alrighty, and we're back to drawing. We're gonna give him some pants. Maybe we'll give him pants on one side and shorts on the other. I don't know. All right, well, first of all, this guy has some nice shoes built in. That's a nice traceable right there. But we're gonna remember that pants hit us at the top of our foot. So we're gonna go to the top of our foot and draw a nice organic line where we want his pants to hit. A lot of people tend to place the hem of pants really high. And again, if you need help, look at a picture of a real live person or look at how your pants fit you. So this is gonna be a big line from here to here. So I definitely don't want it to do it in one try. I'm gonna do another line. And sometimes his pants will hit his leg and sometimes they will come off his leg. So I'm gonna draw a line down the side of his leg, especially on my guy, they hit him all the way on his thigh to his knee. And then on the front of his calf, they're gonna come off a little bit. And I'm gonna start back at his foot and keep going up and connect my lines. Right, so I'll lift that up for you to see. Now, we talked about this a little bit in class, but the inside of our legs, most gentlemen don't pull their pants up as high as they can go. That would be quite uncomfortable. So we are not going to go all the way up to where his undergarments start. We are going to go in between his legs a little bit further down. So I'm drawing a line right here, and I'm going to connect this line, this dot, to the dot down here I created by his foot. And I think on the inside of his leg, they are going to be a little bit more loose fit than the outside of his leg. So I'm going to go back to his ankle because this space makes me nervous. That's why we use pencil always. It's going to touch his calf and then come off his calf. This is the type of area and garment that I always get nervous using colored pencil on. But you can kind of see that, my pants line. And then I will do his other side. I'm gonna give him just a pair of pants because I don't wanna go crazy with shorts. Same thing. I'm gonna start at his waistband and go all the way down. Again, touching his leg sometimes, and sometimes it's not touching his leg. And if you want to go from the top or the bottom or both, you can. Same thing inside of his leg. And I'm actually gonna have his pants, they're not gonna meet up here. They're gonna meet a little bit lower. So I'm gonna start here and then taper them in a little bit. Because if you look at a picture of a dude wearing some pants, this will help you, and I think you'll know what I mean. Like, you can still see the seam in between their legs, but we don't want to highlight anything weird, if you catch my drift. All right, now I'm gonna go up here where his pockets might be and draw some pocket lines. I'm gonna draw a button, and then most pants have a fly area, and to omit funny images, we're just gonna do one side of the fly area, really lightly, okay? And then you can add movement lines to make our pants more realistic. So if you want to add a rip in his jeans, you can, again, I would always suggest using Google Images to look at how a rip would look on a real person. So I just did some cross hatching there to give him some distressing on his jeans. I might go for a straight up hole on his knee area. So I'm gonna give a little darker lines and some thinner lines. You guys can experiment and play around with this. All right, but that is my gentleman. Now, if after watching this you need any help with something specific, a different style, just let me know.